Hello and welcome to another episode of The Hurry Up. I'm your host, Andre Dixon, here in the bunker, but I'm surrounded by my friends, my pals, my amigos. George Eghator, how are you, sir?
I am good. Looking forward to this weekend's games. Got some hot takes, so it should be a
Ooh.
great weekend of football.
I'm looking forward to you jumping in with those. And my bestie, the person who's abandoned me for bigger things. Hannah Wilkes, how are you?
I'm good. I'm sorry I missed you guys. It's been a little bit of a mad month or so, but I'm here and we have lots to talk about. And from that twinkle in George's eye, I feel like he's going to be slamming the Rams and bigging up the 49ers. So, George, why? Why?
Well, we're definitely going to be bringing up their lock of the week again.
Yep.
Hannah's been missing out on that. We've got our new prop.
I want that.
Lock of the week. You know it's got. Yeah, we've got to get you one. This again, just so for people who don't know, is no one could guarantee anything, but I want as close to guarantee of a result of a win as possible. So you're going to put your reputation, honor, and knowledge on the line. so we'll get to that. But listen, we haven't seen Hannah in a little bit. Hannah's been obviously running Sky Sports NFL. You know, I'm sorry, I'll just say it. I'll big her up to the man. But Hannah, obviously we had the divisionals last week. The best to a lot of people weekend of NFL football ever. What was your take overall of all the games, and what game in particular stood out to you?
So I am one of those people. I mean, so Super Wildcard weekend, I think we're all in agreement, was a bit underwhelming, wasn't it? There wasn't really that big upset. There wasn't any particularly thrilling of a game. But division round weekend, it is always the best weekend in football, I think, to an extent. And this year, I can't think of one that can kind of compare with it. So for context, I had to get up at 3:30 on Sunday morning for work. So I was like, right, I can't watch Saturday night's games. I'll allow myself to watch the first drive of the Titans-Bengals game. And then I've got to be in bed, head on pillow by 10, because that's already too late. And of course, then Ryan Tannehill gets intercepted on the first throw of the game. And I'm like, this game is going to be nuts. This weekend is going to be nuts. And I now have to go to bed. So when I woke up early hours Sunday morning, I watched the final minute of the San Francisco Packers game, which was obviously wild. I saw the Titans-Bengals score. That didn't surprise me, actually. That was the result I think I found least surprising this weekend. Not that I was massively surprised by the way the NFC game went on Sunday night, and the Chiefs-Bills game could have gone either way, but I wasn't surprised by the Bengals beating the Titans. Was surprised by the 49ers beating the Packers. And then Sunday night was an emotional roller coaster that I think I've only just recovered from. That Rams game, my God, it's so stressful. And all the group chats were like, your Rams have got this. I was like, nah. Getting to halftime, I was like, nah. Tom Brady in the playoffs, and now we've busted his lips, so he is angry. And that's scary. This is the GOAT. He may only have one receiver, essentially, but still, he can still do some damage. So that was stressful. I then started watching the Bills-Chiefs game, and I think I watched the first sort of play from either offense, and everything caught up with me. So caught up on that first thing Monday morning. And I think I've watched it about 7 times since then in various forms and lengths. What a game. My God.
Yeah.
And yes, the Chiefs got the win. And I'm sure we'll discuss this, and it's been discussed to a huge extent this week. But if the Bills have got that coin toss, very different story. Your heart breaks for the Bills team, organization, the Bills mafia, because they couldn't have played a better game of football. There is no moment in that game where he's like, and that's where you lost the game, apart from a coin toss. That's got to hurt. But they'll be there again. It's so exciting. It was just, part of me is like, can't we just watch the Bills and the Chiefs play a 5-game series, and then whoever wins that's on the Super Bowl? Because it's just brilliant.
Well, obviously, George and I have been discussing this all week, and even live. We actually was texting each other through the game, and
man,
we both have small children, so I don't know why we put ourselves into this type of punishment. Because come what may, they are getting up at 6 o'clock, whether we've watched the games or not. So I think we was up until about 4:45 or something like that, watching these games hardcore. hardcore gang, but I still have been ruined for the rest of this week. But George, obviously we've discussed, you and I have discussed the games ad nauseum, but do you feel that this now puts Josh Allen with that performance as an elite quarterback?
I think it has to. And in my view, he was already an elite quarterback. So the Bills had a 3-year plan with all the changes that they made. And I think early stages, it was to redefine and redevelop Josh Allen's throwing form, his mechanics. He wasn't this good at the start. I mean, a few years later, added a couple weapons, turned around the defense, and Josh Allen is balling out of his mind. I mean, I think before that game, the game he played in, I think it was the what was it the wild card weekend?
Wild card round. Perfect game.
Exactly. Already a perfect game, and then to go and do that and to not win. I mean, like you said, we were up after the game. I was on Twitter because Twitter was on fire, and I just couldn't remove myself. But they've taken the next step. Josh Allen has taken the next step, and this is the new NFL. I mean, the passing of the torch, if you want to call it that, whether Brady leaves or not, whether Aaron Rodgers stays at the Packers or not, this is the next breed of the NFL, and it's absolutely amazing because we have playmakers in every part of the conference, every part of the division. You can name at least 3 or 4 quarterbacks that you'd love to watch week in, week out, and Josh Allen is right up there with them all.
Hannah?
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Like, I love the Bills. They are easily, comfortably my sort of like second team, if I'm allowed one, which I think I am because I make my own rules. He's come on so much from where he was a couple of years ago. And, there was all that, the story of how heartbroken they were after the AFC Championship game last year. So to sort of lose in the divisional round to the same team this year has got to really hurt. But if I'm a Bills fan, I just think nothing but positivity from where this team is. The performances Josh Allen has put in the last 2 weeks, I think, are almost being underappreciated because of what's gone on around them and the way that game went. But that wildcard weekend game, 5 straight scoring drives, did not punt the ball, didn't even attempt a field goal. I think they scored touchdowns on 6 of their 6 drives, and they had 6-7 possessions. You can tell how quickly the information leaves my brain when we move on to the next week, can't you?
I love that. I'm just watching it. I'm watching, appreciating this. Is like,
wait, let's think back to a week ago. What was the? I think he's a phenomenal athlete. I think he's a great leader for that organization as well, and I think that's what we're seeing as well in Cincinnati, right? You get this young quarterback, he comes in and has got the talent in Joe Burrow, and he's got charisma as well, straight off the bat. But you can see the energy change that's happened at the Bengals over the last year. And CJ Uzomah, who's been there for years, has said it himself, like, it is a palpably different feel as being part of this team, being part of this organization. The atmosphere is different, the air feels different, the energy is different. And that's what the Bills have already done. And I think Josh Allen now, there is no question in my mind, like, he is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And I think it speaks volumes to the fact that, first time since 2009 that neither Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady is playing a conference championship game. And I do think it's the changing of the guard. And I think it's so blooming exciting.
Yep.
Loving it.
It's weird.
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, but it's weird because you could even, some years ago, people would, when Drew Brees left, Peyton Manning left, it started to happen then. But it was almost like, what is the next? Who are the next? Elite QBs of the league. Obviously, Mahomes had stepped up, and people were thinking, so what's next? If there's no Drew Brees and there's no Manning, Brady's still in there. But we're seeing it happen before our eyes. And I, for one, I'm so glad that I've been able to watch what I've seen, because it's just unreal. It's unreal.
We just need Justin Herbert to take the next step. Then the AFC is like a bonfire of brilliance when it comes to the quarterback position. Also, credit to Patrick Mahomes, because I know a lot of us were concerned about him early on in the season. I have hypothesized as well. I think he was a tired new dad. He looked.
That's true.
Beginning of the season.
That's a good point.
You're the only person who's actually said that in the whole NFL universe.
This was a discussion that I actually had with Rachel Bonetta on her huddle the other week she's NFL Network. And I was like, yes, that was literally what I've been thinking. Like, he just looked tired. He had a newborn. Like, all of a sudden the football season's back and you've got the responsibilities of being a new dad. That's difficult. No matter how much money you're earning, that's hard if you're a hands-on parent. Anyway, that's just a theory. He might have just not been feeling it. You don't know. But I mean, watching him this week, again, it's so easy to underappreciate these guys because, we're used to watching Patrick Mahomes in in the playoffs every year and doing brilliant things. And he's just a sublime athlete, like just sublime.
So, I was we interviewed Jason Bell and OC, and then I asked him one important question, obviously leaning towards the Giants vacancy. Well, hopefully vacancy with the quarterback, so you can't keep on with this Danny Dimes stuff. Love you, Danny Dimes, but come on now, we got.
No, in fairness to Danny Dimes, the Giants owner literally said we've done. He said yesterday we've done everything to screw that boy up. He literally said it. And I think that's a fair assessment. Whatever talent he has not been given an opportunity to flourish with the way they've run that organization.
I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying I want to change. That's
Daniel
a fair
Jones,
point.
He's not it, man. I know he's got some wheels and he can scramble, but he's not the guy.
I'm where you were, Hannah, with Jared Goff, when you're just like, okay, I think we need an upgrade here. And it's not a slight on Jared Goff. But it's just like, come on now. I've had enough of like looking in the window of the playoffs and not being able to come in the club.
The difference is, though, I would say there's a lot more you need to fix at the Giants than just the quarterback position. Yes. Whereas this time last year with the Rams, you just needed to fix the quarterback position, and look what's happened. You've got much bigger problems at the Giants.
Don't worry, help is on the way.
The quarterback isn't going to fix it. You're not going to be in the big dance next year if you sign.
Don't worry, help is on the way, and Mr. Flores, which I'm sure I'm putting out there, will be coming. Second interview's done.
That'd be cool.
It will be. I will have an hour special of me on my own just talking about him because I love him. He's brilliant. But what I was going to ask you guys, which I asked Jason and Osi, is that you're redrafting. Let's say your quarterbacks, you haven't got them at the moment. Out of the top 5, newbies, I would say hot new quarterbacks. Who would you choose? So that's obviously Burrow, Herbert, Mahomes, so forth. Like who would you choose? Would be your choice? I'll start off with you, George, first, because I see Hannah.
Can I say one thing before just on the Burrow and Flores thing? Careful what you wish for, because a lot of the reason that he left Miami was to do with how many offensive, defensive coordinators he got through in his time there. Good coach, yes, might not be the best manager, just based on that. I
singly don't care as long as we have a winning record. He's great. He's turned that franchise from being a joke, just being there to participate, to being something that people are actually concerned about.
I'm just saying, George.
He's someone the players would play for. They play for him. For me, if I'm redrafting and I'm picking my quarterback,
well, you probably need to anyway. So.
Well, oh man, don't even get onto. I still might be wearing my team, but yeah, we're a different story. I'd go Josh Allen.
Yeah,
and. It's not to say that Herbert and Jackson and Burrow and etc. aren't great, but the development that I've seen in Josh Allen from, let's say, a few seasons ago to now is just unreal, and he can do it all. I mean, he does scare me a little bit with the run game. I mean, I know they like to use him in the run game, which I'm a little bit scared of. I don't want him to end up like Cam Newton, and they can't move anymore because they've taken so many hits. But it's Josh Allen all the way. It's close with Herbert because they do have a similar kind of body type, and obviously Mahomes is Mahomes and he can get it done. But there's something about Josh Allen that I just love. His personality. He's a great guy. He's a great leader. And from what I've seen physically and his development, I think he can only get better. So it's always going to be Josh Allen for me, always.
Hannah?
Yeah, I agree with everything George just said. Obviously, wouldn't say no to Patrick Mahomes being my quarterback. But then he's been in the league like 5 years now. So can we count him as a newbie? I'm not sure we can. If we're talking like proper newbies, Joe Burrow all day, every day. I think
really?
He's obviously got some superhuman quality, right? Because he did his ACL and MCL and some other knee damage last season, and he's playing the way he's playing. He's taking 9 sacks against the Titans, getting up, dusting himself off, and making big plays. So he has got toughness. Now, my biggest concern for Joe Burrow is the same as it was last year. In the beginning of this season, they've got to protect him better because he's going to end up getting injured more, and I'm worried for him on Sunday. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, I'd take Joe Burrow as long as I can take Jamar Chase with him. Because that connection
Chase is on the case.
Like, I'm a big fan of Justin Herbert, but I don't know if he's quite got that edge yet. I think he needs sort of that like Josh Allen-like off season where he works really effectively with a coach. Yes, he's got that huge arm and so much natural talent, but I don't think he's got quite the sharpness yet. Like, he's great. He's great. I wouldn't say no to having him as my quarterback. but I think sometimes his like football smarts, he's still a little young, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Joe
He's
Burrow,
refining.
Joe Burrow is not playing like a guy who's only played a season and a half of football, because his rookie year, he only played like 8-9 games.
I think what I would choose, because it's not his fault on the play calling, is Justin Herbert. This guy is amazing to me, and I think he's even though people have been ranting and raving about him, he's still underrated, and I wish that he got to the playoffs, because then he would be getting all this fanfare that Burrow is getting. Burrow's brilliant. I really do respect him, and I love him. I think he's a cool character, and he's definitely one of those people that obviously when Rodgers and Brady go on to pastures new, then we're going to be looking at these type of quarterbacks to be able to fanboy on. But definitely Herbert, with the speed and accuracy that he's got, and the leadership quality he's got. He's maybe he's a quieter person. He's not on social media, and he's not doing all the dances. And
how weird is it that he's not in the playoffs? It doesn't feel right. It really doesn't feel right for someone of that talent to not be in the playoffs. Like
that seat's definitely going to be hot next time.
That a lot has come down, like Dre said, to the play calling, and the Chargers have charged in a few of those games, right? And also as well, they had the AFC West sort of like within their grip when the Chiefs were struggling and couldn't kind of fully capitalize on that slow start to the season from the Chiefs, because they could have had a real opportunity. But the Raiders snuck in on the wild card spot. So if they're just finished off a few of those close games, it's a very different story.
So, Hannah, we're going to get to this now, where we now are looking forward. We're going to look back a little bit at your last game against the Buccaneers, where you did everything to let them win for some reason or another. But
to make it entertaining, maybe?
Yeah, definitely. It'll get real entertaining this weekend. Don't worry about that. But, what is your take on your performance? And then obviously we're going to look forward to the game against the 49ers.
The Los Angeles Rams are an excellent team in the first half of football games. Then they go to sleep in the third quarter, and then they panic in the fourth. And sometimes it comes off, and sometimes it doesn't. Look, I mean, that game on Sunday was wild and stressful. I thought we were flawless. We could have easily been over 30 points up at halftime. Like, a couple more touchdowns wouldn't have been a problem. The Bucs couldn't get anything really going. We were struggling to stop Leonard Fournette, but that didn't do too much damage until the second half. But I do think we have a third quarter problem. Like, I don't know whether it's the play calling. I don't know whether Sean McVay is so used to this whole, like, if I'm up at halftime, I'm going to win, that he kind of gets a bit more conservative. But it does feel like the third quarter of games, it's just like, come on, guys, where's the intensity? Where's the energy? And that will cost us big time against the 49ers on Sunday, as we learned all of 3 weeks ago. But no, I thought on Sunday, all those guys who, the big narrative is that pressure's on them, the Rams have thrown everything at these if this doesn't come off. So Matthew Stafford, Von Miller, OBJ in particular, all of those three played lights out. Aaron Donald was the best version of Aaron Donald. Leonard Floyd was a menace as well up front. Also, I've got a new obsession with Greg Gaines, defensive lineman. I don't know if you saw this clip of him on Instagram of him mic'd up. He's like an excited puppy. And he's like joking to the Tampa Bay O-line, like, you left 99 free. He's the best defensive lineman ever. What are you coming at me for? You want to be on 99? And they got a hit on Tom Brady, and he's like, I scared him. I could see it in his eyes. It was so cute. They all played great. Jalen Ramsey, of course, played brilliantly. Then OBJ was completing his routes, which he wasn't doing a couple of weeks ago. Cooper Kupp was not just getting free, making yardage, and obviously set up those two massive plays at the end to set the field goal. He was blocking really well as well, because in the wild card round, Cooper Kupp was basically being used as a decoy, and I was like, it's interesting. They've completely changed. Now that OBJ is up to speed on that playbook and is playing at his best level, it means you can do other things with Cooper Kupp. So it's like, you're going to look at Cooper, so we'll send it to OBJ, and he'll be blocking. So he was great. I thought having Cam Akers back is brilliant. The run game maybe not as effective as it could be. I will forgive him for that fumble, but I just feel like twice. But that the big one, I forget which order, it's all a blur. It was like when they had to check it on video replay, half a second, if he'd held on to that ball for half a second more. But it's such fine margins. So I thought it was a really good performance overall. It's just a case of closing it out. And I do think as well, with Sean McVay, a weakness of him as a coach. I don't think he adapts on the fly. I don't think he makes changes when another team is, only got 3 points on the board at halftime. It just happened in 2 of our last 3 games. They're going to make adjustments at halftime, and I don't think he then responds particularly quickly to those adjustments. He keeps doing what's worked, whereas I think you need to be a bit more adaptable on the fly.
Just before we look forward, George, actually, sorry, I'll start with you. We're going to start looking forward now to the Rams playing the 49ers at their home amazing stadium, which will be taken over by the 49ers fans.
No, it won't. They banned them buying tickets.
I was going to say, yeah. No, that was crazy. They
banned them buying tickets?
They've changed it. I think they were only allowing tickets within the LA area.
If you're not a LA Rams season ticket holder, you can only buy a ticket for this game if you have a Los Angeles area code. Now, there's nothing to stop people of Los Angeles buying tickets and then selling them to 49ers fans. But that was the policy as of a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Look at the depth that people have to go.
Home field advantage in the playoff, you can set your own rules and maximize that advantage.
No, that's fair enough. I'm still going to see a sea of red. But yeah, that's fair enough.
You say that, but I was speaking to someone who was at SoFi for the wildcard game, and I know the Rams have this reputation of not having a great following. They do now.
Yeah. So they do. They definitely do.
They literally said they had to take earplugs because when the Rams had the ball, it was so loud in there you could not hear yourself think.
I don't think that Rams haven't got a following. I definitely think they have, and obviously they've got the celebrity names. Come on, man. Like, you want to go to that. I definitely think that. I've seen more people sporting their gear than ever before, and definitely well-known people. I just think that when it comes to like big storied franchises like the 49ers, they've got such a big following all around the place that they're always going to be able to kind of overshadow.
History lesson for Dre. The Los Angeles Rams were one of the first teams in the NFL before it was even the NFL. But sure,
yeah. But we'll see. I'll text you when I see that sea of red in your stadium, and then we'll see then. Right, but let's look forward. 49ers coming to SoFi. Now, George, who have you got?
So, as you know, Dre, I've struggled with this one big time. The other game, I've got that down. I've got that locked down. This game has sent me all over the shop, like back and forth. And only yesterday did I kind of 95% decide my winner. And I'm going with the Rams. And the reason why, I've been a 49ers guy in terms of, I've loved their performance and Debo and the way Shanahan's managed things. But, and I know Rams are Sean McVay hasn't beat Shanahan. I think it's 6 or 7 games now. But I think the streak comes to an end. And I say that because I think there are way too many weapons on the Rams offense and defense for the 49ers to handle. Jimmy Garoppolo makes mistakes, and I know Stafford has been too, and he probably will do in this game at some point. But it's a case of picking your poison. I've suddenly moved myself over to the Rams side now.
What is going on?
You're welcome, George.
Whilst I'm wearing the coat. The Rams have Cooper Kupp, OBJ, either side of the field. And for me, Cam Akers is the difference. He's what makes this team tick. And they didn't have him most of the season. Darrell Henderson and Sonny Michel are quite one-dimensional. Cam Akers can do it all. He can do everything. The screen game, send them on a wheel route. He can do it all. I know he fumbled twice, and he will sort that. But it's a matter of pick your poison. You cannot defend all their defense. I know they got Fred Warner, they've got Bosa, and they're a good defense. But you cannot defend all this three-headed monster. It's impossible. Then you have Stafford, who is a master at the play-action game. People like Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee and Odell Beckham in the end of these. Hold on, Van Jefferson. People are forgetting about Van Jefferson. Van Jefferson is such an underrated sleeper who will probably get a lot of attention in this game. Probably a deep 50-yard bomb as well. So for me, it's too clear. You mentioned it, Gaines, Floyd, Von Miller, who's starting to show up, and Aaron Donald. I don't see it. I just don't see it. Debo is great, and some of the weapons that they have, and Kittle and Jennings. I'm sorry, I don't know. I think it runs out, and they break that record, and the Rams make it to the Super Bowl. They have to win. You guys don't have any first-round picks till 2024. You have to win now.
I mean, look, I want one of Les Snead's mugs that says F them picks anyway, because the fact that they got to the NFC Conference Championship game, I'm like, you know what? the method works. No one, lost their minds over it as a way of building a team when the Bucs did it last year. And yes, obviously it paid off in the biggest possible way. Thank you, George. Welcome to the Ramily. Good to have you.
Hey, I'm here.
But you know what? I think a lot of people are kind of taking, a lot of neutrals are kind of taking that view right now. Yeah. Because, yes, the 49ers have beaten the Rams the last 6 times they played. As far as I'm aware, none of those were playoff games. Very different kettle of fish in the playoffs. I'm pretty sure they're not, Dre. I'm pretty sure they're all regular season matchups. I mean, I could check, but...
And they didn't have matchups.
No, go on.
I've said that authority with twice in the last 2 days now, so I really hope I'm right.
I hope so too.
I can't think when they've knocked us out of the playoffs in that. Anyway.
I won't hold it against you. Don't worry.
Point being, I do think, yes, the 49ers are a very physical team, and Kyle Shanahan has got some voodoo level mastery over Matt LaFleur and Sean McVay. That's valid. That's fine. Sean McVay learned a lot of what he knows from Kyle Shanahan. As long as he can get that out of his head and treat him like any other coach, we're fine. I think for me, right, the 49ers are a scary prospect. No one really wanted to meet them in the playoffs. And the Rams kind of have themselves to blame for the fact that they're there at all. Mm-hmm. And also the Cowboys could have done us all a favor. But then also, if it wasn't the 49ers, it'd be the Packers in Lambeau. So it's very much pick your poison. I do think, though, the 49ers, and I'm going to get so much hate for this, the 49ers did not deserve to win that divisional round game.
Oh.
They did not play good offensive football.
Yeah.
Their special teams won them that game. And now, don't get me wrong, special teams is important. But really, I mean, that blocked kick that they recovered for a touchdown, that wasn't even a design play. That was just a lucky hand. They weren't trying to block that kick. They just managed to get there. So for me, I mean, they didn't score an offensive touchdown. With how Jimmy G is playing at the moment, it might be very different kettle of fish when he's in California sunshine again. He's not going to win them the game. They just don't want him to lose the game. So I'm not sure, based on how the Rams offense is firing at the moment, like with all those guys so locked in, like George says, I don't know if the 49ers run game is enough to compete with the points that Matthew Stafford et al. Will be putting on the board. The thing that scares me, though, is the 49ers run game, because defensively, yes, Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, Aaron Donald, great against the pass rush. If 49ers aren't throwing the ball, those guys are essentially redundant. So that's what scared me, because Leonard Fournette was breaking through that line repeatedly on Sunday, and our run defense isn't the greatest, but I don't think the 49ers are going to run the ball, so that's kind of redundant. But I do think, on balance, I think the Rams have to have this one. I really do. I think records are made to be broken. And also, right, think about this time last year. The Saints beat the Bucs twice in the regular season. Oh, God, now they're playing them in the playoffs. On the road. You don't let the same team beat you 3 times in 6 months. That's just embarrassing.
Well, you know what? This puts me in a position where I have to kind of look and see, because obviously I am I did take a temporary position in the Ramily.
You can't go back now.
As a ambassador. What?
When the Rams do make the Super Bowl, Dre, you have to support the AFC team. We're not having you back. None of this in and out. You're either in or you're not.
Well, this puts me in an uncomfortable position, because you know what? Not only am I rocking with the 49ers, because you and I know what's coming your way. You and I know that these guys have got your number. You and I know that Kyle Shanahan has got McVay's number. You and I know that they're going to run this ball all around your team.
Score with it. You can run it all day. You got to get over the line. They're going to run
and they're going to score. You cannot stop Deebo Samuel. You cannot stop Elijah Mitchell. You cannot stop Brandon Ayuk. And the only person that can mess this up is Jimmy G. If he decides not to throw, and if he just behaves himself and just plays along, then it will be 7 wins in a row.
Here's a question, though. Do you not think it's highly embarrassing for a team that they can't rely on their quarterback to throw the football?
Yes.
You're not going to win a Super Bowl.
I'm a Giants fan.
Come on.
Yeah, you live that life anyway.
I live that life. I have permanent residency in that world of please don't mess
I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough.
But he's not bad.
The game is great,
bro.
But it's not enough. It's not bad, but it's not enough.
He's not a bad quarterback. What it is that sometimes he does risky things and it's unnecessary. Where really, if you have stout runners like that, and I didn't even mention George Kittle. Like, they haven't really had to bring him into the games the last year. Like the selfish, it's as a team they're going to beat you. That's what I think. I think that they've got a more, obviously they've been together a little bit longer, but as a team, there's no egos. There's no, I need a catch. And I'm not saying that Odell's like that because he's definitely, fully, you haven't been on the show to see me fully apologise to Odell and make peace with someone that had no argument with me in the first place.
Based on nothing, all those stories.
No, it's not. We're not going to get into that again because that Lil Wayne interview was the last straw for me. But anyway, when it comes to this particular game, he brought Lil Wayne onto the interview unnecessarily and started slagging off Eli Manning, which I will never forgive him for that. Anyway, but regardless of that, I think that I'm not only going to predict that they're going to win, I'm putting my lock on it. The lock of the week, my guarantee is that the Rams will lose in their ground to the 49ers because I've told you about these a little while ago. I said to Hannah, this is when they had a bad patch. To Hannah and to Sam, I said, to watch the 49ers, you're going to have to, and I've got proof and I've got
remember.
receipts. No, and I said, watch these guys.
I completely wrote them off, but the first 2 weeks of the season, and they've gone 7-2 since early November. So what do I know?
I was like, watch these guys when they get all their players back. Then you're going to see. And
can you imagine if the Rams lose at home with all that firepower? And
I do like McVay, and I don't want him to get fired. But yeah,
fair thought for me. If the Rams lose, I then have to go to the Super Bowl and watch the 49ers.
Oof.
I don't want to do it.
Oh man, that's painful.
I don't want to do it.
Painful.
And there's the cherry on top for me.
Oh my god! But equally, if you guys get to Super Bowl and you're there, oh my gosh, man, what an experience!
I will not be professional, but that's two problems.
All in on the other team, right? Okay, so just quickly before we move off for this one, George, are you going to put your lock on this?
My lock's going on the Bengals.
Ooh. On the Bengals game?
Yeah.
All right, I'll get back to you in 1 second. Hannah, lock?
I would be a very bad Rams fan if I didn't lock them up, wouldn't I? What do I win other than the chain? I want more than the chain. That's not really my style.
you can rock around wearing it.
Can I just say, you have an excellent selection of sportswear across a range of sports, and that is the worst top I've ever seen. Not just because of what it represents, it's just a bit...
Listen, I'm not going. I'm not going. NVL National Vintage League. You can send me something retro for their Super Bowl because I'm very sure that I'm going to be watching the 49ers in that.
Shout out to those guys for sending me something epic. Rams.
I saw that jacket.
Well, I wore it on overtime.
Jacket looks sick.
I texted our producer. I was like, I know I'm not meant to, but can I? And he's like, that's really cool. Yes, you can.
Nice.
That's
nice.
Dope. No, they got some good stuff. This is a natural vintage as well. So they stay with the hot gear.
Right,
they have actually got some quite cool 49ers jackets in right now. I saw on their Instagram.
They always do. Colts don't have anything nice.
I will be.
They need to upgrade nice jacket. It's embarrassing.
Oh man, our colours are boring.
Right, just quickly on the last hurry up bit of our show. Kansas. Bengals, obviously, George, I'm taking you're going to be, obviously, you only got one choice. You're going to be putting your lock on this.
I'm staying in the Flames, man. I'm staying in the Flames with Joe Burrow. I mean, I know the Bengals just about won. They beat the Kansas last time around, and I think that was with Tyrann Mathieu, I think he's going to make this game. He was out with concussion early on in the game on the weekend. I think he will be back against the Bengals this weekend, and they are playing at home in Arrowhead. I don't know if anyone's seen, but the Bengals have been pumping fan crowd noise in during practice to replicate the sound of Arrowhead, and it looks and sounds unreal to prepare. But for me, and I will say, I think the Bengals have a better set of receivers than the Kansas City does. I know they have Tyreek Hill, the speedster, the cheater, and they've got Kelsey, who basically calls plays when he likes, and obviously Mahomes. But you have Higgins, Boyd, and number one guy Jamar Chase, two of receivers of which have gone over 1,000 yards in the same season, in regular season. You've got the tight end CJ Uzomah as well, and if they can get Mixon running the ball, because Mixon didn't play too well in the last game. There wasn't much of a run game, but they still obviously managed to win. I think it's too much. From what we saw last time, Ward wasn't able to lock down Chase. They literally went back to Chase over and over again, and they weren't able to do anything. If they decide to open it up a bit more and use the guys like Higgins, Chase, and Tyler Boyd, and get the run game going, and CJ Uzomah, it's going to be a shootout because you can never write off Mahomes, and we know that. Both teams came off a very emotional win, which does take a lot out of you. And the Bengals have had, I think, an extra day or two to rest. But I'm staying in the Flames with Joe Burrow and the Bengals. It's going to be a close game. Mahomes will always make it a close game. But I think the Bengals continue to make history and they get that win and they go to the Super Bowl in a Rams-Bengals Super Bowl.
That's my dream.
That's nice.
I would love the Bengals to do it. And you're so right. They have got so many weapons. And you mentioned Jamar Chase up against Ward. And we actually broke it down on overtime yesterday. And I think it was easy to lose track of with Jamar Chase. He's like 6'3". He has a huge height advantage on Ward. There's a couple of close balls in that game. And he barely had to reach to get over the head of him and catch the ball. My fear with it, though, is just the way Patrick Mahomes is playing at the moment. I can't see past the Chiefs. Like, I want it's a head-heart situation for me. I want the Bengals to do it. I would love to see, two teams that we haven't seen in the Super Bowl for a couple of years, Bengals Rams. That would be great. The 49ers Chiefs, we had that a couple of years ago. We don't want to see it again. The uniforms clash. We want different.
True.
It's all in the details.
Yeah.
That's why the 49ers Cowboys game in Wildcard Weekend was so great to watch, because you're like, look at these two uniforms. So yeah, I'd love the Bengals to do it. I just don't know that they've got defensively enough. I mean, the number one defense in the league of the Buffalo Bills could not stop the Chiefs. Yeah. How is the Bengals defense going to stop the Chiefs? Patrick Mahomes playing the way he is, impossible to stop, to predict. I mean, him, Kelsey, and Hill, they don't care about the playbook. They're just playing backyard football. They're literally going, where's my guy? There's my guy. There's the ball. Oh, look at that. We've got a touchdown. So they are dangerous. I do think, I think the advantage you've got here, right, is it is going to be an all-out offense game. There'll be those moments, and there'll be an occasional picked off ball. And Tyrann Mathieu status has a huge impact, because if he doesn't recover from his head injury, which I am militant, by the way, about saying head injury or brain injury, not concussion. Let's call these things the same.
True, you're right. You are right.
If he doesn't recover from his head injury, I think that is a big factor, because then you have got that deep threat problem. And like, how do you cover Jamar Chase when you've also got T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd? And CJ Uzomah as well is so overlooked, and he has been critical for them in red zone and first down situations all season. And he just flies into that radar with that big old grin. So yeah, look, it's a heart-head situation, but I'm really looking forward to watching this game. I think the Chiefs are going to do it, but I will be thrilled if the Bengals do.
I would love the Bengals to win. They're not going to. The fairy tale ends here, and that's the end of that.
You're so blunt, Dre.
I'm sorry. I'm just
Dream
You're only giving them a chance.
Hannah, Morning Dre. Morning Dre is different. He's very direct. Afternoon Dre, evening Dre is a bit more diplomatic. Morning Dre's, let's get to it. Bengals, it ends now. But I if you do win, if you do happen to win, like honestly, it'll be. I think it'll be
amazing, man.
That will be stories that will be told forever.
No NFL fan will complain if the Bengals make it to the Super Bowl. No matter what team you support, every single person.
Who's their rival?
Huh?
Who's their rival? I think the Steelers.
The Browns.
Is it Browns? I think the Browns
in Ohio
are going to be like, nah, they ain't going to have that. But go on.
Oh, it's the Cincinnati. It's the Ohio Bowl when the Browns and the Bengals play. But do you know what I mean? Like, I think generally, every single football fan will be like, hell yes. I mean, the Bengals haven't been in a conference championship game since 1988. They hadn't won a playoff game since 1990, and they've won 2 on the bounce. It's amazing.
I think the Bengals are going to play loose. Like, no one expected them to kind of get this far in the first place. So the fact that they're here now, I just think they can play loose, and just do what they're going to do and put points up and hopefully win the ball game.
Well, you know what? I'm quite excited to be able to see, whose predictions come true. Hannah's first lock of the week is all on the line for her for her team, and I'm quite sure what's going to happen here. But I don't want to see my friend Hannah upset. But she will be watching the 49ers in the Super Bowl. But you're lucky to be there as well, so don't moan.
I'll be very lucky to be there.
What
But I'll be much more professional if it's the 49ers.
I'll be watching. You got to watch Hannah on the screen. See the tone of voice that she uses when she's talking about the 49ers winning the whole thing and seeing the celebrations when they win the whole damn thing. But we'll get into that another time.
They better.
Oh no, the camera's broken. We can't do
guys, all NFL fans in London, make sure you check out Hard Rock Cafe's big party that we'll be attending. Because we're not lucky enough to be in
I was about
LA.
to say, where's my invite? But is it for the actual Super Bowl?
Yeah, it's for the actual Super Bowl.
Yes.
Well,
Stop
if
showing
they're
off.
on a PCR test, I'll come.
I can't even joke around with that.
Yeah,
That's the thing. I keep caveating everything with. Everyone's like, "Oh, Super Bowl's so exciting!" I'm like, "Yeah, got to take a PCR test the day before." And look, I have touched wood all the way.
No, you'll be
Just
fine.
stay away from everyone, Hannah.
I
Stay
have
away. Lock
avoided
yourself
COVID
away.
for 2 years, but you can't control it, can you? It's beyond our control. So if that happens, I'll see you there.
You'll be right, and we'll save you a chair just in case. But but hopefully we haven't got to use it because we want to see you out there definitely. But yeah, go to Hard Rock Cafe. Link will be below for your tickets to the big huge party in Piccadilly. But until then, we'll catch you guys next week when we'll see who's in the big dance. Peace.